What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tim Warren Show. We got another good show lined up for you today. Covered everything you need to know about what's happening in the markets here today. What are the prices looking like? What is the news doing? What are we expecting to happen? Not just the rest of today, but what's happening over the next couple of days. It is FOMC week, Wednesday. We will be going live here at 1:50 Eastern time to cover not just the decision, will we cut rates or not, but what does Jerome Powell say from the podium that impacts the markets. But right now, we're seeing a story being told on the charts. We got to unpack fully for you. So stick around all the way till the end. Make sure, smash that like button. Even right now, if you guys have been around for a while, make sure you're also subscribed to the channel. I tell you guys all the time, but it's still there. 30 to 40% of you guys who watch every single day still have not subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out, and it's 100% free. What do you guys think about the new set? New house, new set. I was with the VIP trading group earlier today, and I want to show you how far we have come. Share my screen here for a second. The OGs of the OGs know this was the original set that we had way back in the fall of 2022. What do you guys think? Crux says he wants me to go back to this old one, go back to my full screen here. This is the new evolution. And by the way, guys, I know sometimes we had a lot of set design changes throughout the years. This is going to be the set for quite some time. We might from time to time see some new things pop up. I kind of think a flow signals LED light right here, or maybe a little higher, might be cool, are a good indicator. But I like the simplicity. I like the dark room, the cave. This is my man cave up here. We're going to be doing a lot of charting across the internet with the live shows on YouTube, with our VIP trading setups, a lot of stuff going on here. Let me know in the comments in the chat. Do you like the new set? Do you hate it? If you do hate it, I apologize. We're not changing it. Spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this set. And it's the new look for the channel. Just give me your feedback because I love to read those comments. How about what's going on in the markets? Before we get into the news, let's go take a look at the charts here and see what it's looking like. Bitcoin, some volatility has happened over the weekend, mostly a lot of boring action. But if you guys were not paying attention, we did have a small pullback. On Friday, we talked about how Bitcoin probably wanted to make its way back down towards 87K, and we didn't quite get there. We fell short this weekend. We only made it to 87.7. Now, does that mean that the bottom of this move is over? Does that mean we still can't make a move back down here towards 86, 87K? No, that's not what it means. But there was a whole lot of volatility that happened over the weekend. You can even see some big swings. Sometimes the markets are boring in the weekend, but in this case, we actually swung low to 87.7, swung back up to 90, almost 92, back down to 88, back up to 92, and then this morning we found ourselves below 90K again, below 90K again. We're back up here toward $90,350 as we're making this video. But a lot of chaos did happen over the weekend. By the way, if you were in our VIP trading group, we caught a couple of these swings. I didn't. I was moving, but our trading group did with the help of some of our pro traders. So if you want to make money, make sure to check that out when you can. In a nutshell, what does this mean? There's a lot of messiness that's going on right now with Bitcoin. We're monitoring some things on the charts. I still am overall pretty stinking bullish. At the moment, the daily chart is still bullish, right? We had a buy signal coming on the daily chart back here on November 24th. We told you this chart should be good for setting us up to maybe at least back up towards 96, 97K. I still think there's a decent chance we're making a move towards this order block above 102,000, maybe even making a move up towards 106. This also would coincide with maybe a return to retesting the 200-day SMA, this purple line right up here. Very common, even in a bear market, we would make a bounce back up and reject on that level. So there still is a lot of room to the upside if that ends up being the case. However, I've also told you that I'm not necessarily ready to declare that the bottom for Bitcoin is in. We bottomed out down here at 80,500 back on November 21st. Was that the exact bottom? I'm hopeful it is. I would love for it to be, but I'm not convinced that's the case just yet. Here's where I'm left. I'm still sitting in a very similar spot. I told you 87, 86K is a strong support. 97,000 to 103,000 is an interesting zone of resistance. Not convinced the bottom is in just yet, but we know that this week's going to be very, very very important. I'll go ahead and jump into the news for this part of it because FOMC is going to be the biggest decision maker of what markets end up doing. And I'll come back to the charts in a second, but I want to kind of address the news here. First of all, before we get into the details, something to note and make sure you're aware of. We were told by some people, there are rumors out there that we were never going to see the October and November PPI data. So we were never really going to know if inflation was a problem when the government was shut down. This was actually just released from the Labor Department that they'll be releasing that information in January of 2026. So the false claims out there saying it would never be published, it will be published, just not in time to impact the December rate cut decision. Right now, we're sitting pretty much at the same spot we were Friday, 94 to 95% probability that Wednesday will have a rate cut. Well, what does that mean? That means with the combination of another rate cut to make things a little easier to borrow money, plus this headline that the Fed, while quantitative tightening has ended and they haven't officially moved into QE, we're seeing potentially $45 billion a month Treasury bill. Are they quietly going back into QE? If they're printing and giving out money along with ending QT and cutting rates, it's hard to believe. Hard to believe that we won't see prices of Bitcoin and risk on assets go to the upside. Does that mean the bottom's in? No, it doesn't. But here's some good news. Before we move on and look at some other charts here, some good news that you need to be aware of when it comes to the Bitcoin chart and the FOMC meeting this week. I tweeted this out over the weekend. A boring, choppy weekend is actually kind of good because it leads into the ability to have an early rally into FOMC week. Being this low, you can disagree with me. I'd love for you guys to put your thoughts into chat right now. Comment down below. Will we have a bullish FOMC meeting? And I don't care if it's hawkish or dovish. I'm saying, will the Bitcoin price respond positively after the FOMC meeting, or will the Bitcoin price respond negatively afterwards? The case to say it would end up going to the upside and going up is because even though this is only 2 days away from that FOMC meeting, Bitcoin's price is kind of boring, kind of sideways right now, not doing a whole lot. So to say that we are baked in to the high rate is not, or the lower rate, the cut rate is not accurate in my opinion. I believe that we have not cut out for a rate cut. We still will see some positivity. The question now becomes, do we see Bitcoin rally ahead of the meeting? If Bitcoin is sitting between 97 and 103 on Wednesday, when we get the announcement from the Fed they're cutting rates, that could be an indicator that this is a little local top and we start to move back down. A classic buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. And again, if you're wondering, Tim, why 97 to 103, these are the key areas of resistance that we have been tracking based on the daily buy signals. A big order block here at 97, another big one up here closer towards 103,000. If we make a move in the higher direction before Wednesday, I think there's going to be a minor sell-off. Could be a higher low, but it also could be the move for one more good low, come down towards 77 to 74,000, and then make our move back up. If we don't, though, if we continue to trade sideways, or heck, if we come down to touch that $87,000, $86,000 level, I think that Wednesday could have a very, very big move, and that's when we make our way up towards 103. Either direction, or either way, I do think 103,000 is going to be resistance. I do think that whether the bottom's in or not, more than likely when Bitcoin makes its move up to this level, you will see a small sell-off. At best, we're going to see a higher low, and then we'll make our way back up. At worst, this will be that fake out. We run into that daily 200 SMA, and then we make our move down, making people believe the bear market is in full swing. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I'm very cautiously bullish right now, and I'm monitoring these markets, understanding that just because something looks one way one day does not mean it'll look the same way the next day. Things can flip on a dime in the markets with these conditions until we see massive integration from institutions. Embrace the volatility. In fact, actually, even after they join, embrace the volatility. This isn't your grandma's Bitcoin price anymore, where Bitcoin gets into these bull markets and then just goes berserk for months on end, right? I think the days of seeing bull markets like we saw back in 2021, I don't think we're going to see a period of time like this much more. I think that's going to be pretty rare. A time period where Bitcoin, by the way, we might see times where we have nothing but bullish candles, but I think we're not going to see, just a few months, Bitcoin rally 463% like it did back in 2021. I think the way we are so extremely bullish back here in 2017, we're not going to see things like that. I think the way we've been moving so far in the 2023, 2024, 2025 bull market, I'm going to expect continual moves like this. Oop, hit the wrong indicator right there. I apologize. I think these higher highs and higher lows, choppy stair steps, is going to be a new normal. Why do I think that? Well, take a look potentially at things like what we had with gold shortly after its, come on, indicator, shortly after its ETF got approved. You guys notice this wasn't the same type of Bitcoin gold rush that we had. And what we had with gold is a constant bullishness since the ETFs came out back here in the early 2000s, but this very choppy, higher high, higher low on gold, I think you're going to see a very similar looking chart on Bitcoin over the next couple of years. So embrace the constant but slow bullishness for Bitcoin now the institutions are involved. It's going to be very fun to watch. It's going to be a little more painstaking. The patient will make money. The impatient will get shook out at every single level. I don't make the rules. I just play by them. All right. Some things to be aware of, though, right now. What we're kind of in a place right now when you might be saying, Tim, just tell me, are we about to go up? Or are we about to go down? I don't know. I can show you support and resistance. I can tell you what I think the most likely outcome is. This is where we're getting a little confusing right now. The markets are flip-flopping on me depending on the time frames, right? Right now I'm on the weekly chart, right? And you guys know I love oscillators. I think that oscillators are the number one way to know when you should be bullish and when you should be bearish. This indicator right here, the flow signals, is almost perfect at telling us when to sell and when to buy, okay? Right now, we are not there yet. We are technically bearish, but extremely close on the weekly chart to turning bullish. The weekly MACD starting to flip back bullish. The RSI lower than it has been since all the way back in January of 2023. That was bear market time. The oscillator, the flow signals oscillator, telling us lower time frames are bullish, and the oscillator looks like it wants to flip and go back to the upside. But it's not bullish yet, right? It's bearish, leaning bullish. What about the daily chart? Right, we looked at this before. The daily chart's bullish, but it's leaning bearish. We're starting to see some hesitancy on the daily chart. But then you flip down to like the 4-hour chart. The 4-hour chart is bullish, but looks like it wants to flip bearish, right? This red box up here telling us lower time frames are looking a little bearish. 1-hour chart, and this tells us about maybe the next day or so. The 1-hour chart is bearish, but looks like it wants to flip bullish. What does this mean? It means I think there's going to be a continued volatile movement on Bitcoin. I'm not expecting any fireworks. I'm expecting more choppy price action for the next 48 hours leading into FOMC, and then we'll get a big decision. But if we do see a big rally before then, mark my words, if we do go higher up towards 97 to 100K, more than likely there will be a small sell-off event of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. Okay. Someone said my audio occasionally farts. So, man, you hearing anything in my audio? Am I sounding good to you?
It is occasionally farting, yes, but
that's not good. All right, got to feel it out.
Don't
blame the new set. Don't blame the news set. Guys, before we continue on with the news, there's some other stories I want to talk about today. Today's going to probably be like a 30-minute show. I'll have some Q&A towards the end of it. Make sure even right now, smash the like button, hit subscribe. But I want to give a special shout out. Go off my screen for just a second, Smay. I'm going to throw back in here. I want to give a special shout out to Toobit. It is our recommended exchange that we use. I use it every single day. Our traders over in our VIP trading group are using it every single day. Go check it out right now. When you sign up with our link down below in the description, you can get VIP 1 fees right now for Toobit, the cheapest fees out there. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. But here's what's even cooler is that if you deposit $100 or more, and you look at the description down below, you'll send it to a certain email. In fact, let's go take a look at that description. Go back to my screen. Right here, I give all the instructions. Sign up for Toobit and deposit $100 or more to get access to our private live trading sessions. Send the proof of deposit to exchange.info at timwarrentrading.com. to be entered. But if you deposit $500 or more, you'll also be entered for monthly giveaways. We're going to do cash giveaways, membership giveaways. Right now, go check out Toobit. Click on the link tree right here. Go find it. It's the second top option right there, Toobit exchanges. Sign the day, deposit money, send it to that email, and be entered to win some money, be entered to watch the live trading setups and see how I'm trading. You won't get access to VIP trading group chat. You won't get access to the full community, but you will get access to the live trading group. Go sign up right now and send all your info to that email. Let's take a look at some other stories here, and then we'll cover some other charts. Some big things happening. We talked about this giveaway. We talked about this liquidation event or liquidity event happening from the Fed. Very, very good sign. Some other things very bullish for the markets. You guys have noticed one of the things keeping things bullish in the stock market realm and even in the crypto realm is Nvidia continuing to be bullish. But it's done this over the last couple of months, despite the fact that it could not send chips to China. Of course, America and China are the two largest economies that will provide the most funding for NVIDIA. Well, this is just in. The U.S. is going to allow NVIDIA to sell H200 chips exports to China. This is a huge, huge deal for NVIDIA. And if NVIDIA's chart goes up, watch other AI charts go up, watch crypto go up, watch risk on assets go up. In a nutshell, this is another good reason to stay bullish for the foreseeable future. I'll continue to say this. People ask all the time, is AI in a bubble? I don't think AI is in a bubble. I think AI has a long way to go. I think AI is early. The reason people are so bullish on it and buying so much of it is because it is a massive part of the future. Like it, love it, or hate it, AI will take away jobs, make people's lives easier, make cost and goods cheaper. I think we're far. I think we're far away from the top of the AI cycle. Some other good stuff on the crypto front. Breaking: BlackRock has filed for a staked Ethereum ETF. This is good news for Ethereum. I'll say this. BlackRock just reported last week, I want to say, that their number one form of income in the last year in 2025 has been ETFs, Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs. Of course, recently there are others as well. They're going to add this Ethereum staked ETF. This is a part of that manipulation we'll continue to talk about. BlackRock is going to be a big part of the manipulation. But here's the good side. They're not going to let it drop too far to the downside or too much to the upside because they are going to want their customers constantly doing something. They don't care if you're buying or selling as long as you're buying or selling. So what happens? Every time that crypto prices get a little too high, they'll find some way to encourage price to drop to the downside so they can get more buyers. Every time we get too low, they'll want to make prices go a little higher so they can get more sellers. That's what's going to cause this constant bouncing back and forth. You might have thought, Tim, did you just misspeak there? No, I didn't misspeak there. It is notorious that retail investors buy close to tops and sell close to bottoms. That's just the reality of it. So when you're sitting really low, they're going to encourage you to sell by making the price start to move back to the upside, giving you a sense of, man, let me just sell before it gets even worse. When it gets to the upside, it might be a little too high. You're like, I don't want to buy in right here, but you see the smallest dip and you want to buy right there. That's where they're going to keep the prices swinging on you to make sure you are either buying or selling, and they're making money no matter what happens. But this is, I want to make sure I'm clear here, this is long-term bullish because being able to file for a staked ETF, and they're going to get approved, they get approved for everything they ever file for, this will be more exposure, more reason for them to be holding Ethereum and for Coinbase to be holding Ethereum and making sure they're staking it properly. Very bullish for the crypto markets, but it doesn't mean the shakeouts and fakeouts won't continue. I want to make sure I'm very clear on that. Some other big news on the altcoin front. Ondo, price chart, not necessarily doing anything crazy. Did have a nice spike up over the last couple of hours, probably because of this news. Ondo received all clear signal from the SEC. The SEC has formally closed a confidential Biden era investigation into Ondo without any charges. Ondo is cleared. We saw the chart on Ondo. Let's go back and take a look at that. Bitcoin making a little move here up at 90,540. You love to see it. What does Ondo's chart look like? You can see earlier this morning around 7 a.m., big spike on Ondo. In fact, it was a price surge in just that 1 hour of over, let's see what that number is, 8%. Of course, later on this morning and early afternoon, we kind of erased all of those gains. We are starting to make a little move back up here, but Ondo got some very good news there from the SEC. This is another chart. We're continuing to monitor and watch how it's playing out. Just like Bitcoin, we're very close. It's not approved. It's not finalized yet, but we're very close to a weekly buy signal. very close to feeling like this could be something really big. And the last couple of times we got them, by the way, on Ondo, we're taking a look at time periods. We actually had a little bit of fake right there, but we had a nice little buy signal back here on April 14th. Not the greatest rally in the world. Ondo did not perform well in 2025. But before that, we had a nice buy signal back here on September 16th, and that one did cause Ondo to go pretty far to the upside. So weekly buy signals, you don't want to ignore them. It's not here yet. We probably have to wait a couple more weeks. And I'll keep saying that for a couple more weeks because more than likely, we won't actually see the signal flash until we have an extremely bullish week, and then the signal will flash. But keep your eyes peeled for it because it is coming. Daily chart, still bullish, but giving us some mixed signals here. Overall, we're still seeing lower highs and lower lows, so you need to see Ondo to feel comfortable again. You need to see Ondo break that trend. That trend, by the way, you don't have to do a whole lot. We just need to get back above the highs from back here on November 27th. We need to get back above 54 cents. 54 cents will be the key right there for Ondo, and it's already doing a pretty decent job. You can see since these highs back here in September, you see a very consistent and easy lower high and lower low. Well, it does look like Ondo kind of put its feet in the sand. Oop, hit the wrong number right there, hit the wrong button. Feet in the sand did come in here at 44 cents. We defended that level several times over the last couple of weeks. So now that we have a strong support, let's make sure we break this more recent resistance level. And all of a sudden, we have a change of trend for Ondo. And you start to feel pretty good about Ondo prices getting back, not just above $1, but starting to push back up towards highs over $2 that we hit all the way back in December of 2024, a year ago. More than a year ago at this point with how this has moved on. But that's what we have going on with Ondo. Let's take a look at a couple other things. Gold, just like Bitcoin, kind of camping out, trying to decide, hey, what is the next move when the FOMC meeting hits, right? We have not beaten that top that we had back in October. We still technically are in a lull on gold. I think that continues. Right now, you see almost the exact opposite chart look from gold to Bitcoin. Daily chart still looks kind of bearish. Weekly chart still looks bearish. There's a lot of reasons to think gold should not spike up to the new all-time high anytime soon, but it is going to be one to watch because I think if gold is spiking, you're going to see Bitcoin and altcoins more suppressed. What we don't need a colossal crash. We don't need gold to collapse. We need gold to do similar things to what it did like back here in April to August, where it just stays, oh, come on, I keep hitting the wrong button there, just stays nice and boring. Very similar to time period we saw back here in the fall of 24. Nice period of just a couple months of sideways, boring downward action. Those are the times that crypto does the best. So currently, it does look like that's kind of what gold is doing, but we'll have to continue to monitor how that looks over the long haul. Last chart I'll look at here just to kind of monitor this. Bitcoin dominance continues to kind of stay boring and sideways as well. But just like the others, there are a lot of signs. Weekly chart looks kind of bearish here. Daily chart, I think the bullishness has kind of ceased. Now we're starting to see some bearish candles on that daily chart. Good sign if your portfolio holds a lot of altcoins. That means the surge that should be coming, while it will probably come to Bitcoin as well, could continue to service your altcoin bags just as well, if not better, than Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks to next couple of months. That is what I have for the charts planned. But let's go ahead and take a little bit of a time to answer some of your questions. I'll give you some answers. Right now, if you've enjoyed the show, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I know today is a more boring day, but these are the days that you will make the most money long term. When you lock in on the boring days, when you pay attention as other people are sleeping, you create better structure, you create better plans, you set yourself up for more success. So very much appreciate you being here, showing support to the channel, but I also want you to know you are giving yourself a little edge to the markets by tuning in even on the bad days. All right, let's see what we got here. Blazing Bandit said, I agree with you, Tim. I appreciate you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you as well. Mary J would love us to take a look at some AVAX. Let's take a look there, and then we'll maybe answer one or two more questions. It has been a little bit of time since we've done AVAX on this channel, so let's take a look at what that is looking like. Very similar to Ondo, right? Not necessarily doing too much, right? There's not a good reason to be too excited about AVAX right now on the charts. I think fundamentally you still have a strong sense of bullishness coming, but, you know, it got this buy signal the other day or the other week. just like Bitcoin did, just like Chainlink did, just like Ethereum did. But those coins seem to be actually doing something with the buy signal. Coins like AVAX and Ondo kind of squandering it, not really doing very much with that. I would have thought, and again, I think I told you guys based on what these indicators said, I would have thought we would have made a push back up closer to 1656. But we gotta have to see how that works out, right? Just like Ondo, I'm seeing a constant lower high and lower low. There's not been a breath of fresh air since all the way back up here since the September highs, just like a lot of other coins. I would say you're going to be looking here. That's not a line I want to draw right there. I'm going to be looking right here. We really need to see 1524 be conquered, get a higher high back again on AVAX, and all of a sudden you're going to feel good about it again. The comforting side, weekly chart, just like everything else. Look at the last couple times weekly charts giving us the buy signal. Back here in July, boom, big rally. Back here in end of March, early April, boom, decent real rally there. Not a crazy rally because we had that little volatile movement, but very good rally there. You go back over here into July/August, very good time to be buying AVAX as well. So as we're getting very close to that weekly buy signal, I'll bring it back up, right? We are watching this and saying when it flashes, we have the potential, not just from a historical moment to have a nice rally, but when you add in the liquidity, when you add in that quantitative easing, whether it officially happens or not, looks like it's back on the table, and regulatory clarity more than likely happening early in Q1 of 2026. A lot of signs still point towards AVAX having an exciting little bump right there. By the way, we are tracking that kind of trend in here, but you're also very clearly seeing a nice support trend. Leave out this scam wick because I am looking at Binance, right? And Binance, almost every chart on Binance had this weird scam wick back here on October 10th, give or take. Look at the clean trend of support that we just hit once again here over the last couple of weeks. This just right here tells you whether you're bullish or bearish, right? You could say, Tim, I think that AVAX is going to fall and go lower down sub $7, sub $6. I would tell you, okay, I get you, right? We are clearly in a bear trend on the macro perspective, but even this bear trend is saying we really should have a bounce back up. As long as we stay below $36, we're still in a bear trend, which means longs right now are the more proper swing trade play for a coin like AVAX. All right. Bitcoin weekly head and shoulders retested at 85K. Any thoughts? Yeah, we've been tracking the chances of that. There's not a weekly head and shoulders pattern yet. What I think you would need to see, ideally, and I'm not a stickler for perfection here. Ideally, let's pretend that 80,500 was the bottom of the neckline. Okay, so we've bottomed out on this move. So we have a rising neckline. In theory, I would love to see a rising right shoulder as well, right? Currently, the left shoulder, if anyone's wondering, we have a nice little left shoulder right here, a big head here. We cannot get back above 126,000. That would cancel out the head and shoulders pattern. But as long as we stay below that 126,000, I would say as long as we stay below 120K, you really could set up a nice looking head and shoulders pattern here. But to me, I think you kind of need it to get above the 109 to look clean. I don't necessarily see that happening. I would be okay. I wouldn't say it's the worst thing in the world. If we only made it to let's say 103, 104, and we kind of turned over like this, it's not the prettiest looking head and shoulders, but it's one that it could make its move. That could be a head and shoulders pattern. If that does confirm, if that does make its self clear, head and shoulders and inverse head and shoulders patterns have not been the greatest indicators for Bitcoin, so take this with a grain of salt. But in theory, that would predict that Bitcoin could make its way down to 56K. What I would kind of do instead of that look is I would say, where are the key support levels south of 74K? I think we'd make it south of 74K, but maybe a little higher than that. I'm looking at this order block right here at 67. I take fixed range volume, and let's see if there's a nice volume gap. At that point, I'm looking for a volume gap in the fixed range volume. 74K. Oh, there's going to be a nice 60. Remember 67? That's a point of control. Maybe right here to 65. I'd be watching between 67 to 65. If the head and shoulders confirms, that's going to be my level to watch. I think dipping all the way down to 50, I just think there's too many buyers at higher levels instead of dropping all the way to 55, 56 or so. There's a nice little volume gap right there at 53. So don't leave that one out. But head and shoulders pattern has not been confirmed just yet. Got to see rejection. We got to get a little higher. Again, at least back to 103. then a keel over, and we need to see what happens if we lose 80,000. All of a sudden, I think 67, 66,000 looks kind of decent for a target on Bitcoin head and shoulders pattern. All right. Now you're saying, hold on. I mean, inverse head and shoulders, 69K, 1780K. I don't know exactly what you mean by that one. There's an inverse head and shoulders patterns all the time. See this one, for example, slightly higher neckline, slightly higher shoulder right there, but that didn't play out. Like a lot of people had this as a inverse head and shoulders pattern. It would have had a target. Let me draw this. This would have had a Bitcoin target up towards $360,000. Didn't even get close to it, right? Not saying we won't eventually. We will someday go that high, but you got to make sure you take these. You got to take these setups and formations with a grain of salt. They're not perfect in crypto. They're more indicators of bullish or bearish things. There definitely looks like a possibility of a head and shoulders pattern. But again, what I would say is the target on that one, 74K is going to be some nice resistance. But if we make it lower, I'd be a buyer at 67K. All right, last question here. We're going to call it a wrap here today. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you smash that like button. Yeah, only 200 likes. We have 445 watching, only 200 likes. Guys, smash the like button. It's free. It's easy. It's simple. What are your thoughts on HBAR, my man, from a TA perspective, short term? All right, so let's get away from some of these longer term charts. That's AVAX. Sorry, I apologize. HBAR's right next to it. Got a lot of stuff kind of going on with my HBAR chart. So let's stay away. I mean, I'm going to look at it. Weekly chart looks like it actually wants to be bullish now. It's just kind of waiting for the rest of the market to get there. Daily chart, let's see what this was doing. Mixed results right here. Again, very boring, very downwards action here for HBAR. I would say this is neither at the moment really bullish or bearish. It's in a bear trend, so you give the edge to the bears, but clearly we've seen to be bouncing and rejecting here on 12.7 cents. So bulls making a little bit of a stand right there. For short term, let's kind of focus on what the 4-hour and 1 hour are saying. I don't really want to get into the weeds like the 15-minute and the 5-minute. That's like a true scalping mechanism. 4 hours will tell us like the next 48 hours expectation. Within the next 48 hours, what is potentially on the table? Right, so we got this nice buy signal a couple of days ago. Haven't done a whole lot with it. I would have thought that this would have been good enough to make a move. Let's see what this indicator kind of tells me for resistance. Would have thought we could have made a closer move towards 14 cents, maybe make a move up towards 14.5 to that order block. We haven't done that just yet. I would put that zone right here. I know it's going to be a little messy above this. I would put this zone right here as a level of resistance to watch because that 4-hour chart is bullish but messy. I think other charts were giving me a 1 hour buy signal. Let's see if the 1 hour buy signal is in effect here on HBAR. It's close. It's not quite there yet. We're under a sell signal, but we did kind of, I don't know. See, yeah, I think you're looking resistance up top. I think you come back over here to a 4-hour chart. You see this order block in play. We could keep playing there with a 1 hour kind of give us a slight sell. I would put a little support level right in here. I think that we could see a revisit as low as 1320, give or take, before that move to the upside. But I think volatility-wise, I think you're looking at 1320 as support. I think you're looking up here between 14 to 1450 as resistance. And then we decide with FOMC, can we make the strong move on HBAR to start setting higher highs and higher lows again? Can the rate cuts and liquidity start to actually do something important? We got some work to do. I would say if you want to feel strongly that the bear trend is over for HBAR, you need to break above this level right here, 1566. Right, we're at 1357 right now. That's a decent move to break above 1566 to kind of get a bull trend going once again. Once it happens, though, like I said, the weekly chart's bullish. Weekly chart's giving us some juice here. Once we start to confirm some bullishness, all of a sudden, you start to raise some expectations back towards 20 cents. And I'm going to watch for a lot of altcoins. I think a lot of altcoins are going to start making pushes towards cycle highs in the Q1, Q2 of 2026. Look up there between 20 cents, first level resistance. Then you're starting to watch for 34, 35 cents next up after that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up here. You can go off my screen here, Smay. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for continuing to support this channel. Give me a comment down below. What are you thinking about the charts, the video we did today? Do you think that, are you bullish right now? Are you bearish right now? Will FOMC be a sell event or a buy event? Let me know what you think about our set now. This will be the set for a couple of years. I'm now here for years. Not going to be seeing any changes anytime soon. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place.